Oh, hey, look at that. You don't post for a couple of days to actually work on things, and it makes those views go right down, don't they? Okay, let's get some stuff up. This is a movie making the festival rounds that I watched on a screener. It's coming to your area soon, so check the website for it. But get straight to the point. You need to see this, and it's kind of hard for me to explain why you need to see this, and I'm just going to ask you to take my word. This is fucking great. This is the kind of movie that usually, when I like a movie this much, I look up everything about it and try to learn everything about who made it and their story and what's going on right the hell away, because I just want to know everything. I want to be like the new expert on these guys. And this time I did not do that. I jumped straight from watching this into writing out a list of referential notes that are off to my side here, and just wanted to get my thoughts onto camera as quick as possible, because I wanted my reaction telling you that this was good to be as fresh as my reaction was to watching it, because it's the kind of movie that you run out of seeing it and tell everyone you know, holy shit, you gotta watch this movie, because this is just a new thing that will, if you're a movie lover, become your whole personality for like a week after seeing it, and then stay one of your favorite, hey, have you ever seen things for a long time. So while important details will be down in the description, the main details are that it's directed by Mike Cheslik. It's also by the same team that made the Lake Michigan Monster in a kind of a similar style, and that it is amazing, and that when it comes near you, or as soon as it's out on streaming, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, you owe it to yourself to see hundreds of Beavers. So with all that intense enthusiasm out of the way up front, if you saw the Lake Michigan Monster, this is in a similar aesthetic style, but much better, in my opinion. That movie was fun. I recommend that as well. It's a good, interesting, solid sort of Lovecraft homage, parody, gag fest kind of watch, but it also has that sort of well-meaning, exhausting energy that you tend to get when an Adult Swim show or a YouTube sketch team makes their own feature, like a mixed idea grab bag and pals hanging out being more amused with themselves than you will be energy. Worth seeing, especially if you dig this one, but not as fully realized as this. This is a polished, knows what it wants to be film that immediately feels like a singular work, even while reveling proudly in its stature as an inspirational collage of silent movie adventure serials, Golden Age Looney Tunes, northern wilderness survival movies, slapstick comedy, and video game logic, all kind of stirred together, but in a way that's not just, oh yeah, I get that reference, I know that movie, I also enjoy those things, in the sense of combining to create a whole new, interesting, one-of-a-kind thing. The sort of whole new angle where, just like after Evil Dead, you could really no longer describe movies like that as anything other than being like Evil Dead. I feel like if this catches like it needs to, we will be calling movies in this vein the Hundreds of Beavers genre after this. And it deserves that, because they worked really hard at it, and it shows in every way on screen. To describe the plot would really give it all away. That's what I meant by you need to see it, and I can't tell you why, because it's not so much a plot as it is a sequence of gags and events. There's basically one main character and a whole supporting cast of characters, most of whom are nemesis or impediments or plot elements, obstacles, etc. to this main character as he goes through the film, learns things, unlearns things, puts things together, and proceeds through the steps of working stuff out. Not in a understanding plot progression sort of way. What storyline there is to understand is almost happening in the background, involving the hundreds of beavers of the title, who are both antagonist, alternate protagonist, plot device, and background world-building detail, and also somehow MacGuffin all rolled into one with their own side story. But also it is a movie about watching someone learn to do tasks, perform tasks, and carry them out in a fashion where plot mechanics and mechanics becomes the set out of the film. The best way I can describe is, imagine a Bugs Bunny versus Elmer Fudd cartoon blown up to epic length, where you follow Elmer Fudd the whole time as the protagonist, and all that really happens is watching Elmer Fudd, or perhaps Wile E. Coyote, with how much trap building is involved in the movie, learn to make traps, learn to do things. Why is he hunting the animals, putting things together, plot elements, step by step, over and over through logical progression as a series of slapstick comedy gags, and it's constantly mesmerizing. The setting is 19th century North American wilderness, plausibly far, far North America, possibly southern Canada. The hero is an applejack trying to survive off the land after an accident strands him in the wilderness, and he must learn to fend for himself, first by attempting to find food, then catching food. He attempts to hunt animals, make traps and tools. He fails at that. He does better at making traps and food. He uses the tools and traps to get better food and traps. He meets a fur trapper, a fur trader, his daughter, a native, and his horse, who wander in and out of the plot, all of whom interact with him, give him better tools, worse tools, ideas, goals. There are maps to be made and unmade, traps to be learned and unlearned, amounts of money that are paid in the manner RPG bartering or crafting games. There are rabbits, wolves, dogs, skunks, etc. to be hunted, fought, trapped, used as bait for or against each other or as currency. All the while, the events are being shaped by a mysterious army of hundreds of beavers constructing an increasingly elaborate massive dam for purposes unknown. And the thing is, as strange as I'm making this sound, it's even stranger. It's shot exclusively in black and white with almost no dialogue in a manner of a silent film, but also using elaborate green screen effects, animation, puppet effects. I think I saw some stop motion in there, minimal CGI, but lots and lots of layered green screen work. And the thing is, you can see the seams in all of this. It doesn't so much look deliberately fake as it is they're using purposefully, as good as they can, versions of the aesthetic that they want. The animals are all played by men in puppet suits to achieve the cartoon mascot character effect, so it's violent but not excessively violent, since it's always plush and puppets and fuzz and packing peanuts, it looks like, flying everywhere. There's scatology, but not a lot of explicitly grotesque scatology. The black and white gives a great aesthetic look of the mostly washed out white background of snow, ice, gray skies, so that you can always see the darker characters and the trees forming very clear lines of where everyone is at all times, and then the night scenes, the whites pop out from the black background. It's just gorgeous looking, but also you can see the blur of the matte lines. You can see how all of the stuff is put together. You can see where the layers have gone together, where the various beavers have been multiplied from. I would not honestly be surprised if there was only one beaver suit, or, a handful of them being used to create this army of beavers at all times. And it looks so cool. To see it is inspiring. The best way that I can describe it is when you see just an amazing piece of art made out of popsicle sticks or constructed macaroni or an amazingly built sand castle, where yes, the material is cheap or natural or small or simple, and yet you look at the epic scale of it, where they're pulling off these amazingly elaborate action scenes that are as big and well choreographed and huge as anything that you would see in an epic scale blockbuster production, but made out of such clearly handmade stuff. And all you can think is, wow, you did this with that? And the thing is, it's so simple, where it is essentially a series of sketch comedy bits where you're watching, okay, this is a Bugs versus Elmer bit, most of which, the best versions of those, were only ever a couple of minutes long, and they've laid them end to end to end to end to end to form essentially what feels like about a 90-minute movie. It's probably more, probably less. When you see things on screeners sometime, the actual final length is going to be hard to judge. But what's incredible is you see a lot of movies like this, where someone has taken a simple concept and stretched it and laid it out, and often what works beautifully as a short is never going to survive out at epic length. I have seen that happen to very good friends. I've seen that happen to myself. I've seen that happen many, many times in this specific business format. Happen to YouTubers, happen to sketch comedians, happen to, like I said, Adult Swim style shows, short form animation. What's amazing is I was worried a few minutes in that this is hilarious, but this will have to start getting old at some point. And then a few minutes after that, I was just completely invested. And then by the time it was over, I couldn't believe how fast it flew by and how long it actually was. because it was just, had my attention, was brilliantly hilarious. Every time a new gag or a new turn in what essentially passes for a story really is more just a one goddamn thing after another narrative played out, I was just enraptured. I love this. This is brilliant. I can't believe it's only February, and I've already seen something that will probably be one of my favorite movies of the year. Hundreds of Beavers, 10 out of 10, brilliant, will inspire a whole new generation of filmmakers. Young people especially will see this, will recognize the kind of tools, simple available tools that were used to make this, and will want to run out and do this kind of thing themselves, and that is just awesome. This is the kind of movie that made me want to be in this business doing this sort of stuff in the first place. Hats off to the people that made it. As I said a moment ago, a 10 out of 10, a goddamn instant comedy masterpiece. Loved it. Hundreds of Beavers. You owe it to yourself to see this movie. Check it out.